Alright, because I do not have any good video editing software, I'm just gonna do this via voice in one long session. This is going to be going over the new Cyclops and showing some things that I've noticed about it. So far it's actually really good. I've gone and decked out everything, tried out a bunch of things, stuck in some upgrades. One thing I noticed is that even with all, like, the entirety that I can see outside is repaired, it can never seem to get back up to max health unless, like, another lesion metal, occurs, and I go and repair that, then it heals a little bit more than that. Speaking of damage, one thing I've noticed, hitting the side of the ship with a knife causes a creature attack warning. Knife seems to do exactly 20 damage of health, and it seems to also affect the outside. This is from a previous save game. I have tested pretty much everything I'm going to go over in this video on a new save. Where is this coming from? It doesn't really make a lot of sense. The sub feels good. There are a couple of critiques. I feel like the hood could be scooched over a little bit more onto the sides so that there isn't, like, all this here in the way of the view. Like, I feel like I kind of wish I had, but whatever. I'd say the only thing I'm not 100% sure of is when going in slow mode, the entirety of the inside turns red. I'm not 100% sure why that. The red would make sense for, like, emergency. The emergency flash red is fine, but for slow mode, I'm not quite sure why this decision was made. Especially because this red can get pretty eye-straining if you're playing at night, either in real life or in the game. Like, if it was a lot darker, then yeah, it can be kind of eye-straining, in my opinion. The speeds are good. One thing I have noticed is that the Cyclops will say, hey, it's kind of loud, somewhat often. Especially when it starts overlapping in vocal controls like that.
Mild dehydration detected. Fluid intake recommended. Vital signs stabilizing.
In terms of the ship exploding event is actually really good. Since this is an old save, all of the fire extinguishers are properly in here. I'm just gonna give this guy... I have noticed that fires appear to happen once it's either below 900 or 950. I've noticed it the most happening at about 900. Below 900. This is kind of a silly way to destroy your Cyclops, by the way. Alrighty. There is a sea moth docked inside. Oh yeah, this might actually be a good time to show this off. Dying inside of a Cyclops seems to bring you back inside of the Cyclops, which I'm not sure if that's a very smart decision, but thankfully it seems to be right at the outside here. Cyclops is custom colored. The lesions on the new Cyclops, I don't know if this is an old thing or not, but they do not match the new colors. Neither does all the gadgets and doodads up here. And now we're gonna watch this thing explode. As you can see, there is no explosion sound, and the color completely just vanishes. And it's very, very difficult to tell, but the ship is very, very slowly sinking. Like, it doesn't just immediately drop to the bottom like all of these little bits and pieces here do. But I have noticed that once the Cyclops explodes, there is a difference between the stuff that you get inside before and after you load a save game. So I'm just going to go into the Cyclops and show you some things that I've noticed. One thing I've noticed is that any modules that you put in are no longer retrievable. I had the Ultra Cyclops module and the Power Saver module. The Power Cell stuff can be kind of funky. As you can see, you can still switch them out. All power cells immediately go down to 0 after the explosion. This happens on both sides. This one's actually a whole lot funnier because there's an old power cell here, and yet there's a power cell that you can just kind of unplug right here. And you can plug it back in if you wanted to. Kind of silly. But this does show that your power cells are retrievable even after the ship blows up. Modification Station seems to not care what the lighting is like. Any plants that you have, this is something I noticed when you save and reload. Any plants are able to still be picked. If you have a growing lantern tree, it will still be growing. In fact, hold on, I'm gonna get out of here real quick and do just a quick outside save. Okay. But everything is still available. You can get whatever you have left in your lockers, and you can retrieve, you can retrieve your lockers, pretty much any of your items that you have built. Power cells appear to still be here, trash is still here, bed, you can still pick up your cool decorations. Okay. One thing that I have noticed going in outside of here is that it does have a couple of clipping issues. If you finagle your way through here, a freshly exploded ship, you can just kind of swim through these pieces over here and apparently get stuck. There have been times when I've gotten... There we go. So, that's kind of an issue, being able to just kind of clip through. The sea moth that was docked in here is completely gone. The same happens with the Cyclops. This corner over here appears to be where a good chunk of the clipping comes from. So that might need to be checked out a little bit. Now, there are a couple of differences when you reload your save. So we're just kind of go back in here. And you'll immediately notice, as soon as your save loads, the ship just kind of drops like a rock. Which I feel is what it's supposed to do when it first explodes, but there are going to be a couple of major, minor, not 100% sure differences. Power sources are you still can't get any of those. Any plants that you had in planters after a save load will be gone, unless they're still growing, like this lantern tree here. And when this lantern tree reaches its fullness, it will actually start to fruit. Like, I'll come back in a little later and that thing will be fruiting. These are still available. I think these were already at 100% once it exploded. It's mainly the... Oh yeah, things start floating off of the side. Yeah, things that are like supposed to be attached to the wall start floating off the side. Yeah, Lantern Tree is now fruiting. And I believe upon another save load it will disappear, I believe. Like the melons and the potatoes. No, it's still here. What? Does it still fruit? I think it still fruits, actually. You can still take fire extinguishers, which is nice, even though it's kind of too late for that. But otherwise, things are still obtainable as long as you haven't save load. Clipping issues are still there. Scrap metal does come off of the thing. Let me see, is there anything else in my WordPad file of things I've noticed about this sucker? Well, I believe that... Oh, I just noticed the custom name that the Cyclops had also... Nope, wait, never mind. It's just hard to see. But I think that's pretty much all I can show off easily in a video format. If there's any other like little tidbits, then I'll just note them as well in the email. Thank you for watching. Keep making cool video games.